Some things just don't make sense. Like I saw a commercial, they were trying to peddle their product and saying, if you don't have our product, it's kind of like playing hide and seek in the desert. Or if you don't have our product, it's like playing ice hockey with pool noodles, right? And that's true. Some things just don't make sense. And honestly, sometimes things that God does doesn't make sense. Can I say that without being struck by lightning, right? Yeah, it don't make sense to me. So the thought of the day is this: God doesn't always work in ways that make sense to us, but he knows what he's doing. Trust God. That's the thought of the day. God does not always do things that make sense to us. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, but he knows what he's doing. Therefore, I need to trust God. And so as I thought about that idea, I thought about several stories in the Bible that just didn't make sense. Like, I've been reading the Bible with my kids, and with Evan, we read the children's Bible. So we recently read a bunch of these stories like Jericho, like Joshua and the Battle of Jericho. Like, God's battle plan for them to walk around the city 6 times for 6 days, 1 time for 6 days, and 7 days on the 7th day and blow horns. It doesn't make sense. Like, I'm pretty sure the people in Jericho were looking down going, what's wrong with these people? What they doing? Another one, Gideon. Gideon was scared to go fight. God raised him up to be a leader of his army, gave him all these people. Then all of a sudden, God dwindled his army down from 32,000 men, I think, to like 300 men. 300 men. Like, how you gonna fight a battle against this big army with 300 men? Doesn't make sense. But God knows what he's doing. And Jesus died on the cross. To the disciples, it didn't make sense. Matter of fact, Peter rebuked Jesus. When Jesus told him he's going to die, Peter's like, no way, it'll never happen. No, it was God's plan. How could God bring about victory by death of his son? It didn't make sense. But God knew exactly what he's doing. Now read scripture and see how God works. It makes me think of this verse found in Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. The fact that God's ways, his thoughts, how he perceives the world and how he sees everything, because he knows everything, it's not how we see things. So that gives me comfort, because in my life, sometimes things just don't make sense. Like, God, why are you allowing that to happen? Why'd you let that happen? What's going on? And if we look at our world, why are these things going on in our world? And I had to come to this conclusion. God knows what he's doing. Therefore, trust God. God knows what he's doing. Even though it makes sense to me, I would do it a different way. I'd change this, I'd change that. But I have to rest in the fact that God knows what he's doing because he's God. So I need to trust him, because I believe this about God. God is working everything out for his own glory. Everything's for God's glory, for him to be glorified in the world. And God will receive his glory. And you know what? God's glory turns out for my good as well. So God does everything for his glory, and it turns out for my good, because God being glorified is what I need to do. As Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31, whether we eat or drink, whatever we do all to the glory of God. If I'm doing everything to the glory of God, which I should be, God is doing everything to his own glory. Even though God does not always work in ways that make sense to me, he knows what he's doing. Therefore, you can trust God.